There's a good chance that you're going to ask yourself this question in your PA career. How do you know when it's time to leave? How do you know when it's time to switch jobs? So I'm sure you've thought about all the usual stuff. Is the money better elsewhere? Are the hours better? What's the chain of command like? What's the work like? So all those matter, but I'm going to suggest some things that might kind of enter into the calculus that you may or may not have thought of. When it comes to money, that's pretty obvious, right? So if you feel like you're not getting fairly compensated, are they going to pay you more somewhere else? The salary or the compensation is not the whole picture. I know you know that. Sometimes they pay a lot more. You're going to be working way harder to earn that money. Maybe you will, maybe you won't. So sometimes the actual salary number is deceptive. What's the retirement match like, if there is one? What's the benefits package like? How much money are you going to save on the commute? And so I'm sure all those things are very obvious and have already entered into your calculus. But the biggest thing is the workload going to be much, much worse because you're getting paid more? Maybe. And there isn't just monetary compensation. There's compensation in terms of time. There's intellectual compensation. And there's kind of intangible compensation. Are you someone that likes to be very intellectually fulfilled? Yeah, okay, sure. Everybody likes to be intellectually fulfilled, but is the nature of the work such that it holds your interest? You feel as though it's meaningful? Are you really making a difference? Are your skills being utilized to the maximum of your ability? Can you end the workday feeling like you've been supported enough to do the kind of work that you want to do? Maybe the answer is, hey, I don't really want to work as hard as I've been working. I've been doing this for a long time. I'm kind of tired. I kind of want just a cushy job. That's fine. Is the next job the cushy job you're looking for? Make sure you ask people that work there. I'm sure you're already doing that because that seems obvious. So the intellectual compensation is pretty huge. Me personally, I like to have the freedom and autonomy to feel like I can go to bed every night very satisfied with the work that I've done and feeling like my skills have been deployed to the limits of my capacity. I like to be constantly challenged. That's just me, and that's just at this point in my career. I have a feeling that I'm probably going to get really tired of working so hard in the future. I might almost be there now, actually. It may be time to change careers, but for now, I think, at least for like next week, I think I'll still go back to work. Maybe. Another is lifestyle compensation, okay? So how important is it that you're able to plan your schedule out? How important is it that you have your nights and weekends off? Is it shift work? Are you expected to shift between nights and days? If so, how often do you need to do that? That is really, really hard on a body, but that might actually be completely perfect for you. Being able to plan for some people is a really rich form of lifestyle compensation. Me personally, I get my schedule like 4 to 6 months in advance, so I can do things like plan trips, and that's pretty important to me. If you have a family and you're trying to do other things in your life, you got a lot of things that you've got going on, which we all do. Predictability is kind of huge for me. So I really like that. It gives me freedom in a way. This should go without saying. What is the support structure like? What's the chain of command like? Do you get the feeling that your colleagues you're attending is really busy, but he or she wants to help? Or are they really busy and kind of you're on your own, like they don't really want to help you that much? Sometimes you can't tell that at the beginning. Sometimes this is something you just find out after you've been there a couple months. It happens. You decide whether or not it works for you and decide what you want to do. If you're in the first maybe 5 years of your career and you're finding it very hard, that's how it should be. If you looked at my earlier video about why PA training is so hard, linked up there, remember it's your residency, so we can't stop the job from being hard. But if after a few years, other things are making it hard, not the nature of the job, whether that be coworkers or a non-supportive command structure, then that's something to take into consideration. So the money and the hours and all that is not everything. How well are you utilized? How good do you feel about the work you're doing? How well supported are you by your chain of command? Does your organization seem to take your opinion seriously? You can tell, like when you bring things up, do you feel like you're taken seriously? That's actually kind of huge. Huge because of work satisfaction, but it's pretty huge for patient safety also. So obviously the answers to all these questions, no one can answer but you. If you're thinking about changing jobs, probably everything that I've said here, you're going over in your mind and you're like, yeah, no, I'm definitely leaving. The one thing to remember is that in life, it often is better to do than not to do. And a lot of times, not always, it's better to do and then clean up after than not try and regret it. And it's been shown that the more often you change jobs, the higher your pay ends up being. So, something to think about.